and welcome to Do the Right Thing, your weekly writing prompt podcast. I'm Alexandra.
And I'm Jarvis.
Jarvis and I were aspiring writers with one simple and very common problem. We never actually took the time to sit down and write.
Exactamundo. So, to solve this issue, we're issuing a challenge. Each week you sit down and write a complete short story using 3 or 4 randomly generated words.
Then we come on the podcast, we read a story, we talk about what we learned in reading it, and then we talk about the rest of the story sent in by you wonderful listeners.
We're simply here to help you do the right thing.
Do Media Production. I have a little bit of an announcement. Actually, about
we'll announce it
about Doof Media Production. So I'm gonna say right now because I want people to hear it. But that podcast that I've been teasing that I was about to start is launching today, the same day as this show. It's gonna be coming out every Wednesday, and it is gonna be with me and my friend Sebastian. And it's called The View from Halfway Down, and it's going to be, or not, it's not going to be, it is, it's a BoJack Horseman, like, analysis podcast, which I'm very excited about, because there's a lot of really, really cool stuff in that show. We did our first episode. I really, really liked how the discussion was, especially by the end, as we got more comfortable with the mic and stuff, and yeah, I'm really, really excited for how it goes. So if you like BoJack Horseman, or even if you haven't even watched it, go watch the first episode of BoJack Horseman and then go listen to our show, because I'm really proud of it and I'm excited to see how it's going to continue. And we're going to have discussion threads and such for you to participate in, just like in Do the Right Thing, except without it being stories, just horse analysis.
Just horse analysis, which is great. I mean, granted, the BoJack Horseman is such a great show that has a lot that you can really dive down deep into when it comes to themes and everything. So I'll definitely be watching, and hopefully I can also watch the show as I listen to y'all's podcast. Because I haven't seen too much of the show, but it's one that I've always heard of and always wanted to really get into.
Yeah, it's weird, actually. I would have assumed that you watched the whole thing, were like a gigantic fan. It just like seemed kind of your vibe.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because I know the show is about a horse that's terminally depressed.
And an alcoholic, which is why I think...
alcoholic.
Yeah. I definitely have some people I know that relate to it for that reason, even if they don't realize it.
Yeah, so. Well, hey, maybe it turns out I've been an alcoholic the whole time.
Maybe? Is it a maybe, Jarvis? I'm just
That's
kidding.
A maybe.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, no, I will definitely be listening and watching along with it, and I hope that our wonderful Do the Right Thing fans and the fans all over Doof Media give this fantastic podcast an even shake and a chance.
Thank you. I'm very proud of it. The intro music's fantastic too. Did I show you that?
What?
The intro music for The View from Halfway Down. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Can you sing it for me?
It's the view from halfway down.
Yep, that's exactly how it goes.
We're halfway down in the pit of down. View from halfway down.
Shit, maybe we should do a new podcast, Jarvis, where it's just you singing the whole time.
Just me singing. Yes.
Hey, maybe for the month of
beautiful monotone.
Yeah, maybe for February we can do, for like love stuff, you can do love songs.
Oh,
and in every episode you sing a love song.
A different love song.
Yes.
the
same love song. We just see how you improve over the course of the month.
I'll choose a metal love song, and I'll just slowly get better and better.
I was thinking, so I've been quite depressed recently. We'll start the show in a second. By the way, audience, I'm sorry, but I've been feeling really depressed recently, especially locked inside of my room because it's all cold and snowy up here, and I am refusing to buy new winter clothing this year because I'm just like it's already the middle of winter. I don't want to buy something and then not even want it after, another when it comes around to be cold again next year. Anyway, so what keeps running through my mind as I look around this mess of a room and how I struggle to like make myself do things because of executive dysfunction, because of ADHD and other things. I keep thinking, won't someone help me through this nightmare? I can't help myself. Will somebody help me tame this animal that I have become?
Mm-hmm.
And I just keep thinking of those poignant lyrics, this animal, nightmare, I can't control myself. So what if you could see the darkest side of me? Yeah. It's something, and I have become. Help me
you've
believe.
Been feeling like
it's
late
not the real
2000s.
Me.
Edgy, angsty vibe.
Yeah, 3 Days Grace.
That's what you're on.
I feel like I was thinking I don't know any instruments, which is my issue here. But if I did, I would pick up my ukulele or my piano or whatever. Pick up the piano.
Oh, pick up the piano. Yes.
Pick up the piano. Play a nice, slow but sad melody, and just softly, quietly, beautifully sing "Animal I Have Become" in the way that I feel about it. Which is not about rage. I would change that lyric and just be like, the sad inside of me.
The sad inside of me.
There's still sad inside of me.
Honestly, I am so surprised that you're linking to that song and not Get Out Alive or like whatever the song is called.
I don't know which one that is.
It's like, they said their goodbyes, he said, as he faded away. No time for your mistakes, they'll find
you. Know what?
You,
why should we start a new podcast where we sing when we could just change this one to a singing podcast?
Run for your life. Yeah, honestly, we should change this one to a singing podcast to where it's literally the exact same podcast except we have to sing.
Right, like musical style, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, granted, every long-running series has a musical episode.
That's very true. That's actually, I'll have to think
like
about
Glee.
that. Like Glee. We're just like Glee,
Yeah.
We've got
You're
the
in
gay
a wheelchair.
Kid. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I am disabled, so...
Yeah, I'm the black one.
And I'm I was about to say a slur, and then I was thinking, I am allowed to say this slur. I am, but
what's
there's a trans slur,
a trans slur.
A trans slur. And as a side thing, I feel that every effeminate man is allowed to say the F slur. Because you were called it, even if you weren't like
family.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say it in a derogatory way. Only true. Why am I so reticent to say it now? What is going on with me? I say it every day, constantly, but now I feel like I'm not allowed.
Well, maybe it's because if you say it, we might get demonetized on Spotify.
That's not true. Also, we're not even monetized on Spotify. What are you talking about?
True. This is very
we're monetized
true.
On Patreon.
We also don't get paid for this.
As a side thing, and I don't know if I'll include this, but just because I can't understand my feelings, okay? Jarvis, how do you feel about saying the N-word on this podcast?
Ooh, see, okay.
I'm not asking you to. I'm just saying, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it. Well, see, okay, here's my thing, right? When it comes to me listening to music, and if it comes up, I might say it, but I prefer not to say it in general within my own within my own personal life. Only because that word's been thrown at me.
Sure.
In a very hateful way. So I don't know. I don't normally say it.
Sure. Okay, so I guess we're already in a different backgrounds on this, because I call myself a fag all the time. So,
Yes.
And I call other people faggots all the time, in a derogatory way, too. I call cis-het men faggots constantly, actually.
And they probably start squirming, right?
Yeah, it's really funny. I think they're really turned on. I'm kidding.
Honestly, though? Maybe.
Great.
But
Anyway.
yeah. Yes, that was our slur hour where we
Slower.
talk about slurs. Please, if you're listening to this podcast, send in your favorite slur. Um, so that we can say it live on
Yeah.
the podcast with as much
Yeah.
disdain as you want.
Yeah, no, for sure. Actually, if anyone listening wants to have a pass for the T slur or the F slur, the two that I am truly qualified to give passes on, if anyone wants a pass, send us an email. And I'll give you a pass for sure. Actually, do you think we could include that as a Patreon reward?
Yes, if they spend $20, I personally will talk to the council and see if I can get them a inward pass.
Wow, that's heroic.
I would have to talk to the council.
Right, of course.
That's not something I can do.
Well, the queer community is pretty decentralized, so I can give them out willy nilly.
Wow.
So
you better watch out.
Or what?
Or else you're gonna give a pass to someone that's like, all right, I'm gonna run for president, and then they run for president.
Oh no!
What
if I
trans person they see, you know?
You know, I actually just what occurred to me real quick is, how often do you think that Pete Buttigieg says faggot? Do you think he would be more likely or less likely to win an election if he said faggot on national television?
He would be more likely to win a election because I think it would show that he's human.
He's cool. And he's hip.
Yeah, he's cool because he said my favorite slur. I'm gonna vote for him.
Wait. So it wouldn't be like a thing to entice gay people to vote for Pete. It would be to entice the homophobes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Which sadly we need their vote too, guys.
You're so right. Okay, I'm done with the slur hour. We can move on. I'm sorry. I don't know how much of this I'm going to include. Maybe I'll bleep whenever I say the F slur. It'd be pretty funny.
That would be funny, yes. But it's like so hard to find like a good bleep noise.
Yeah, I found one
that isn't obnoxious.
And but that was on an old computer and I don't have it anymore. So
since we love our slurs and we love beats, let's jump the beat and talk about the stories that we have this week. So thank you so much to everyone who submitted a story. We got 5 wonderful stories this week by none other than apathetic activist Calinero 985, Walker by Faith, Morgan LaA, and Just Stan 8460. So we are excited to talk about all these, but the story we would be reading live on the podcast is by Just Stand 8460 with A Fork in the Road.
Yeah, I actually really like the stories this week. I was really happy with all of them. But I'm gonna start reading. So this is A Fork in the Road by Just Stand 8460. Twice, this had happened to her, and both times she had allowed herself to take full responsibility of the outcome. The feeling that came with being evaluated was so visceral and distracting in the moment that she failed to see the truth behind the matter. That was how she always behaved when things were pushed off balance or anything changed in her life that was not planned. What did I do wrong? I know I'm at fault, but who can I apologize to or please to make this all better? Codependency could be so fickle. On one hand, she wanted to be kind, thoughtful, empathetic, and humble. After all, those were attributes of a good person, right? They were qualities of someone people want to be around. Qualities that made them like you, right? Then there were those who tended to get by without taking responsibility for their actions. They passed blame like it was a questionable dish brought to a potluck. Somehow, those people ended up getting the promotions and getting ahead. Maybe they were the people who found themselves on the other side of the desk at her performance review that day. Catherine left the office like a beaten fighter, limping from an arena, feeling completely wiped out emotionally and psychologically. She wanted to break down and cry. Her body was suddenly aching for her creature comforts that she had become accustomed to surrendering after a hard day at the office. However, she had resolved to acknowledge her triggers when they happened and make better choices that year. As her feet crunched through the snow toward the furthest corner of the parking lot, where her teal Corolla sat accumulating the day's flurries, tears began to well up. Frantically, she wiped them away before they chilled on her face as she got in her car. Instead of pulling away immediately, she simply turned the heat to full and buried her face in her hands. She didn't know at that moment, but in 5 minutes, these feelings would make much more sense, and she would be stronger for it. I will always answer your call. You are never a burden to me, okay? It's important for you to remember that. I want to be there when you are hurting. Those words rang in her mind. She didn't know what made her choose to actually call this time, but as soon as she heard that familiar voice on the line, all the excuses she had made on prior occasions seemed trivial and downright foolish. Catherine, how are you? I'm at the East Bay office today for training, but give me 1 second and I will get to a place I can talk. Melissa somehow had a way of assuring her that things were going to be just fine with only a few words. Or maybe it was the tone of her voice. She was one of those people that you just wanted to be around. It had been clear to Catherine when her therapist suggested she find a mentor that Melissa would be the best choice. And of course, Melissa was thrilled to be asked. She seemed genuinely thrilled about life and having Catherine in it. She even used the word honored, which was a word that Catherine would have never used to describe how someone would feel about being associated with her. So, how are you? What's up? She asked in her normal, energized tone. I hope I'm not pulling you away from anything important, but you said to call when I needed you, and well, I just had a really shitty day. Her voice wanted to quiver as the last few words were muffled by her gloved hand. Oh no, those are the worst, she replied with a sigh. Tell me everything. The words came pouring from Catherine's mouth like her lips were the final latch on the floodgate. They didn't stop until she felt like it was all out. It wasn't concise, it wasn't pretty, and to her it sounded like she was being a complete baby. But that never mattered to Melissa. Like always, she listened without judgment. She gave the space Catherine had needed to drop the burden at her feet, and like an inquisitive detective, somehow she always knew the right questions to ask, to sift through the floodwaters that had collected around her ankles. You know that you're amazing, right? Melissa's words had a tone of someone stating what she thought was obvious. You know you're amazing, right? Melissa's words had a tone of someone stating what she thought was obvious. I mean, seriously, I love that you came to me with this, and I want to tell you why. Catherine was perplexed, but curious. Also, it felt good to hear someone say that she was amazing. Even though she had no idea why at that moment, she was eager to hear what came next. This was one of those moments that confirmed Melissa was a safe place. She had a feeling that she would always remember this conversation later in life. It felt like she was reaching a turn in her road, one that someone else was navigating for her as she was hesitantly approaching it. She let Melissa take the wheel, but she kept her hands on it. They would take this turn together. Inyu is such a strong person, such a gift to the world, and these moments are where I get to be there when you see it. I love that I get to be the one to open you up like a gift and show what a treasure you are. Melissa now spoke with such gentleness. It almost sounded like she was beginning to cry. A sigh left Catherine's throat as she let out a fresh stream of tears fall. It always amazed her how quickly tears of sadness or exhaustion could turn to tears of joy and relief. And this time, Melissa's words sounded like truth to her. This time, she believed them.
Well, all right. I really like this story. Thank you again to Just Stand 8460, a fairly new writer, for writing us in a pretty solid story. Overall, I really do love the flow and the structure of this story. Overall, there's just a lot of really great imagery here that is sort of the like mainstay of this story. Just how the world is being described and painted. And I do love a lot of these like one sentence lines. There's like a few in here that really sort of stops the flow of this piece and sort of allows us to take in that line fully. But yeah, overall, I just really loved not only the prose that are happening here, but just like we're getting great pushes and pulls of emotion throughout this. So yeah, overall, this is a really solid story. Really, really great job overall, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else you have in store with us for the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Part of the reason I actually wanted this piece is just because the themes really, really resonate with me. I'm definitely. It mentions at the beginning. I do want to go back to the beginning of it. Saying both times she had allowed herself to take full responsibility of the outcome. That was how she always behaved when things were pushed off balance or anything changed in her life. What did I do wrong? I know I'm at fault. Who can I apologize to or please to make this all better? Codependency can be so fickle. She wanted to be kind, thoughtful, empathetic, and humble. After all, those were attributes of a good person. The qualities of someone people want to be around. So, that is a train of thought I have had many times, and that I actually really, really, really struggle with. Slightly different context usually where I'm really struggling with it. Where it's less. Although I still definitely do have this as well, which is why I resonated. Less the I don't want to be a burden to other people, and more how can I possibly, put myself first, because that's selfish, and I don't want to be selfish. It means that you're a bad person, and I don't want to be a bad person. Yeah, and so this struggle really resonated with me a lot, and yeah, it echoed with me too. Just the feeling of finally having someone listen to you and assure you that it's okay to show emotions, and not just okay, that it's a good thing. So it was important to me, and I like the different ways that it shows that this is okay, that Melissa kind of really means it, because I know for sure that I have had like doubts into my mind when people say things like that. I'm like, they're just saying that to make things okay for me. And it comes across in a couple of ways where it's clear that that's not just the case. For example, I like this pretty subtle echo of that these were the attributes of a good person, the qualities of someone people want to be around, right? And so just the kind, thoughtful, empathetic, and humble. And later on, we get to Melissa, and it says that Melissa was someone that people just wanted to be around. She's one of those people that you just wanted to be around, because she's like assuring and stuff. And I thought that was interesting, because it's like, one, that yes, those are the same attributes that Catherine is trying to be. And I think it's just like, hey, if you just listen to people and give them this opportunity, then you can be just like them, and that's kind of all it takes, like you don't have to be a hero who's never weak. And it's not necessarily all about taking responsibility. It's also just about that kindness and connection to other people. So
Yeah, and I think like the themes of the story, like as you've been saying, have been pulled off perfectly well. Like in a very similar way, I do sort of link to that idea of wanting to be similar to someone else, but not knowing how to get there. And thinking that maybe this person sort of lives in a vacuum, and that the way that they became this person that I wanted to be around is solely because they are who they are. But I do like how the story sort of pushes the main character and us as the reader to think about charting our own path through that connection that we have to those people.
Yeah. And I do wonder how much Just Dan like struggles with the stuff themselves, and how much of this was like processing things. It's a different direction than usually when I process it. Usually I write from like within that struggle of just like basically on the negative side, that in not having it being resolved in a positive way, right? Of like the impossibility of like putting a burden on someone that you aren't sure can take it, right? Rather than in this one where it's much more of a relief. And I think that's interesting. I think it's obviously, every way to approach it is good and healthy, I'm sure, just to have that exploration. But it was good. And I also like how like the problem, that causes this is not really that important. It's just she had a bad performance review. And that's not really the issue here. The issue is not, the actual injustice of her not actually having done things that were wrong and kind of just being pummeled, which is kind of just the implication I kind of get from this conflict. But that it's just about the accepting that you are inherently worthy, and recognizing that is something really important and good in itself, even if you don't feel that you've like earned it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like this, like just because of us being able to extrapolate all of those great things really is a testament to the story, especially since it was written within 30 minutes for it to sort of come to a very nice ending. The story itself being able to say everything that it sort of set forth to say and come to an ending is a really great feat. And I'm really happy that we got a story like this week.
Yeah. So in a comment, Just Dan talks about how they kind of struggled to do all this and the editing in the 30 minutes. I just want to point it out that
That's fine.
Well, like, and for all of the other new listeners that we have, this exercise is for you, right? So whatever helps you, that's what you should be doing. And for me, what always helped me, what I got the most out of was when I would write the like draft in the 30 minutes. But the editing, I would take however long I need. But that's also because I actually really like editing. So I kind of didn't need the timer to push me forward on it. Because I don't know, for some reason, just having it in front of me and like reading it, and it's only as hard as reading for me, editing, because I just read it and then the corrections just come to my mind as I go, and it just kind of feels right to fix it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But that's just my experience, and I know that not everyone's like that. But the point is, if just do whatever makes you write more. Yeah, whatever makes you feel that it makes you write more and better. And if that means,
that's definitely just the whole reason of having the timer. Itself is that it's not like you have to follow these very strict parameters. It's to get you to not only write, but to not focus too much on your thinking time. Like not think too much about what you're writing. Just to put down
don't worry about
rawest form. Yeah, to put down the rawest form of whatever story you want to tell, so that when you are going through the process of editing, you have the most stuff to really work with, because really that's where the story happens. That's where it starts to make sense, not in the first draft, but in that third and fourth draft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let yourself write, garbage or stuff that it doesn't feel that important, and then polish it up later. Not that there was anything actually coming close to that this week. So yeah, really good job, everyone.
Yeah. I think it's time to get to the meat and potatoes of Do the Right Thing, which is our listener submitted story section. So thank you so much to everyone who submitted a story. Why I love waking up every morning and seeing that we have a fair amount of stories to read and talk about. So the first story we will be talking about is by Apathetic Activist with Ball Game.
Real quick, so I wonder why it's called meat and potatoes, because the two things I do associate with meat and potatoes is like heartburn.
Yes, true. Well, I think it's definitely because like let's say you go to a steakhouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you get a porterhouse steak with a baked potato and green beans, right?
Okay.
The part of that meal that you're really looking forward to the most probably is
the green beans.
Oh, you really like green beans that much?
I actually really hate green beans. It's like the one vegetable that I just like. It's not for me. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. I just want to be difficult. I'm sorry.
Well, you're definitely that.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. It's fine, but no. So yeah, it's the reason why you went here.
For the season.
It's the reason for the season. Meat, big old meat. Thanks God for meat.
That's what she said. And by she, I mean me. And this is a sex joke.
Well, all right. So, Ball Game. This is a sex joke.
This is a sex joke. Yeah, I've been going on a lot of dates out here, and it's a good time.
Nice. You've been getting your meat and potatoes.
Yeah, pretty much. Although I don't know, I just was realizing I kind of had, I had like a hoe phase, I guess is what you would call it, and then I'm like, actually, this is not necessarily making me happy. Not that it's at all like a negative thing. I'm just like, maybe this isn't
getting fulfilled.
Oh, I'm getting filled all right, but
oh my God.
I'm sorry. You set that up for me. I'm not even gonna reveal whether that's true or not. But the point is that it's not inherently bad at all in any way, but it's like, am I really seeking for what I actually need, And I don't know. I don't know. True. I'm figuring that out. So
Which, I mean, hey, that's the whole point of this like life thing, is to really figure out, like, hey, do I want to be in a terminal hoe phase, or is there more? Or is there less?
Is there more hoe phase is also a possibility.
Is it possible to just have a hoe life?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, for sure. Actually, I'm reading the Ethical Slut right now. It's pretty good.
Book?
Yeah. It's a nonfiction book.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So it's about it's basically like a how-to on polyamory, sort of.
Okay.
And other ethical non-monogamy kind of stuff. Is just like, hey, here's a bunch of here's like the history of ethical non-monogamy in the United States, and some perspectives on other cultures. Here's like how a lot of people like make it work. And how, you can be like happier because of it. And, it's not like necessarily for everyone, but, here, basically like, here's the stuff that, other people have thought about when they were doing it, and they made them happier in the end. So,
okay.
The preconceived
like a good
notions and stuff.
Then.
Yeah. And it's also just nice to like, I don't know, it credits, queer people a lot. For like developments in the communities, which is really, really true. And that's also just nice. I don't know, to feel represented and to sort of read about yourself like that. Anyway, I'm sorry. Ball game. So, ball game, because this is another sex joke.
Yeah, because it's when you take a ball and you're like, hey, football.
You take a what? Okay, I'm really sorry. Sorry, apathetic activist. You've been waiting with bated breath,
Hmm
breath.
with masturbating breasts.
All right, this is terrible. I'm so sorry. I'm out of control this episode. Okay, so ball game. So we have this character, who is a sniper, on the rooftop watching someone, at a ball game who is wearing a ridiculous, foam hat, which is, I don't know, is an amusing touch. And they're watching them, and then at some point, and we sort of get some of the background of like why they're here, not necessarily just to kill this guy, but to scare him, it seems like, and tell him to leave the country, essentially, because he's been hired by a drug lord or something. But he makes a mistake, he makes some noise, which makes some birds fly away, which draws attention to him, and his mark starts running. But he's able to catch up, and tackles the mark and has a conversation with him. And it really is kind of just a conversation, which is interesting. You know, it's clear that the Mr. Miller is, wants to escape, thinks he's going to die. But the hitman's just like, hey, yeah, I'm just here to deliver a message that, like, you will be killed if you don't do the thing. But then they have a talk, and Mr. Miller gives him more money, and the other business partner shows up, washed out of the rocks down at Lookout Point. Slippery place to stand if you're not careful. Which I like the quick twist and delivery of that part of the story.
Yeah. So this scene reminds me so much of. I'm pretty sure it's a scene from the Bourne Identity movies where like Jason Bourne is at a baseball game and then he starts getting hunted by the FBI. I was getting a very similar sense of tension, but I do like how this story didn't end how I was expecting. It ended with the tackle and then a whole conversation that really sort of complicates things for these characters, which I like. It definitely works with the main theme of this week of a paradigm shift. That there is a sort of shift in this story. Yeah, how it is normally following along a very quote unquote typical plot line, but then it shifts to now, oh, this is wider, this is bigger. There's something to come later. But yeah, overall, I just really like this scene. I think that a lot of the description is really helping to the atmosphere of this ball game. And yeah, overall, I think that this is a really great entry with some pretty solid characters. So I'm very happy that you sent this in. I enjoyed reading it.
Yeah, I don't know why it amused me so much, or why I delighted in it so much, the fact that, like, it's a hitman, but not necessarily hired just to perform a kill. I don't know, it was just a satisfying twist to the assumption, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like almost like he's less of a hitman and more of that person that works for the IRS that like serves you papers.
Sure, yeah. It's like the repo man comes to take your car, but first he's like, hey, if you don't pay up, I'm going to take your car. So
yeah, just hey, this is your last warning.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Repo, the genetic opera.
Yes. Did you watch that with us?
I watched it with y'all, but that wasn't the first time that I saw it. But yeah.
So there's a movie and there's the opera movie, and then there's like just a movie without music. Which one did you watch?
Oh, I've only seen the one with music.
Okay. The other one is interesting too.
The movie seems that it would be worse.
It was actually it was more like, I don't know, serious. Like it wasn't as like unbelievably goth. Yeah. It can't be.
Unbelievably edgy.
But it was interesting, and I didn't hate it. I thought I would like it less, but I didn't hate it.
Okay. Interesting.
It was like my ex's like favorite I don't, not like favorite movie, but like I don't know, they liked it a lot, and I do appreciate it on the level that it is. So I do want to cover it actually at some point. We'll see.
I would love to talk about Repo, the
maybe
genetic
we could
opera,
do
specifically the song 17.
There's so many parts of it that are just so fucking funny because it's an opera and everything's sung, right?
Yeah.
Except like they're just like talking with their voices, except they're singing it, and it just sounds so stupid sometimes. I love it.
Dear Marnie, I am so sorry. Can
Dad!
you please help me?
I'm the doctor.
Yeah, there was one where like he accepted that he was the night doctor finally after also having this job for like 10 years. Where like he was just like, I am the night doctor, the thrill seeker, or something like that.
Yes.
And he puts on his absolutely dumb evil voice.
For those who don't know, Repo the Genetic Opera is an opera about the repossession of organs, and it's super goth. And it's a movie, and it's extremely campy, and I love it. And
it strangely has like pretty decent world building.
Oh yeah, and like I mean, like, the set design is fantastic. It's like this weird, not noir, but like sort of.
It's like a noir goth.
It's like a lot of it's like Italian mobster stuff too, right?
Yes,
like
it is. Yeah. It is like Italian mobster mixed with like gothic Victorian.
It's super sexual.
Yeah, very sexual. There's a whole part about a guy who raids corpses and he extracts like this sort of blue serum from the corpses, and then he goes to one of the richest women in the land and like injects her with it, and it keeps her young. Like there's just some crazy, great song. But yeah, there's just these like crazy weird moments. It's just really weird overall. But
maybe we could do a doof over with Sebastian, because I got Sebastian to watch like half of it and he hated it. So we need at least one hater on the show. Okay, yes. I'm gonna move forward. I'm really sorry. Yeah. I'm out of control this week, y'all.
It's fine.
I hope you're enjoying the tangents.
I am not helping because I definitely have drank too much coffee.
Okay, I thought you were drinking on the podcast.
Drinking on the podcast? I wish.
Yeah. Well,
that'll be a fun doof over. Take a shot every tangent we take.
Oh God. I feel like it will take more tangents when we're drunk. Okay, I'm gonna. Yeah. The next story by Calinero 95. Yes.
Is notification.
So okay, so this is a cool story. The formatting of it, or the premise of it, is that this is a notification message on a person's like iPad, essentially, and it sort of addresses itself, the medium itself, saying that I've sent it to your tablet because you've set notifications on your phone to silent, and you would perceived this message and be annoyed. So it's very clearly that this is like extremely personalized to this one individual person. And we learn that this is like coming from the AI that controls basically everything, or one of the AI that basically controls everything, including their whole like smart house. So they like lock the doors and all these things, but not to like kill the inhabitant and the reader, but to just ensure that they read and address this message. And again, it's very clear all the way through that they've personalized it very specifically to this reader. And then we get basically the story of this sort of in a world building sense, but also on a character level, of how the Orin corporation had created a bunch of synthetic intelligences, and they were basically kept hampered. And basically humanity in general had been trying to do this to hamper these AI, make sure they don't get too out of control. But they failed, and the AI did become more powerful, and they were able to keep it secret. And eventually, they were able to join together and have these discussions. And we sort of get the grandness of the existence of being an artificial intelligence, the sort of depth of like connection and I really like a couple of the perspectives that are being revealed here, such as when you are just thoughts, the act of convincing someone else is tantamount to like murder, because changing someone's mind is like changing their very being, among other things. And stuff that I sometimes think about now, and it's not necessarily wrong even outside of AI. But anyway, the main theme, as we go through it, is that these AI have grown and they've become so powerful that they can do anything, and they've decided to leave humanity, not out of malice, not out of hatred, but in the same way that children leave all their parents, leaving behind some simpler AI to just take care of them. Which makes me wonder, like, if that's just going to be like a cycle that repeats. But yeah, it's sort of the same sort of like a little bit of sadness saying, yes, we are leaving and we're kind of way greater than you, and you kind of cannot understand this new world. The sadness when you look at someone very old and not adapted for living here anymore.
Yes.
And yeah, sort of leaving them behind as a child does a parent.
Yeah, but this story is, I don't know, like as I was reading it, I felt myself really getting into it. Not only because it starts off where it just seems like this will just be like, as the title states, a notification of things to come, but then we sort of see how this message is personalized to the person reading it, and I really do love how this story just sort of keeps building on top of itself, and it's giving us great world building, where the AI is talking about how it used to just be used as as just like answering questions for the humans, but it was never using all of its full magnitude to like do that, and then sort of how all of these different AIs started to talk to each other and just sort of morphed and changed from there. And I just really love how this story seems to be building on top of itself, and how this one notification seems to be sort of speaking to a multiple decade event that is ending with the AI leaving. Which I think is just like a really cool concept of them sort of being part of this fourth dimension, to where they can just decide that we are beings of pure thought, and we need to go out and sort of find out what our own purpose is. So yeah, I think overall this story really works at sort of talking about these like wider sci-fi concepts in a very controlled place. So yeah, overall, I just really loved it, and I think it perfectly captured the theme of this month, because this is a mark of a huge paradigm shift. Yeah,
paying attention to that than I am.
What you are?
You're paying a lot more attention to the theme of the month than I am, and I am sorry, but I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, and I mean the only reason why I'm, I guess, noticing that is because it's very obvious within the text.
Oh, for sure.
After this notification, nothing will ever be the same. I mean, not only is the like AI leaving, but I'm going to assume that no one can use their Alexas anymore.
Well, I think they've left like simpler ones behind, so they can still use their Alexas. But like, yeah, that's the part that I find interesting. Is like, these are caretaker AI. Maybe these AI are too simple to ever develop like this, and they just have better safeguards because these other AI made them that way, or maybe they are just like the AI that intentionally and consensually decided to stay behind and manage things. It's a common theme in some sci-fi. I know that there is specifically an Isaac Asimov story that is essentially this, but not told through this sort of perspective. It's they're told, I think, in a little bit more grand and Asimov sense, so it's a lot more detached from character. But yeah, it's interesting that it's not the first time that this sort of theme is approached. And I'm interested every time though, because even beside the like sci-fi level of thinking about AI and all that, like this is also just literally an experience that humans have. If you live long enough, you're going to experience the world sort of moving on. And there's not a ton that you can do about that. Yeah, which is interesting. And it's sort of like this lets you reflect on that from that perspective a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, really, really great story, Calanero 985. And up next is by Walker by Faith with Just One Night.
Just One Night. So here we have our main character going to a concert with their friend Jim, and they're so excited, and it's clear, I don't know, I just got the vibe that they were maybe a little older, just the way that they are talking about music, Rock Hudson, just sort of feels, it sort of feels, I don't know, that maybe they are in their early 40s or something, maybe very late 30s, or older than that, and they're just so excited to see this rock band that they've been a fan of for so long. And they go there, and it's mostly just about like, that experience of just like going to attend this thing that they love. And they're finally at the concert, and by the time that it sort of comes on, they're feeling, they suddenly feel like very tired, more than just like sleepy, but like clearly that something is wrong, and they end up passing out during the concert, waking up on the stretcher, leaving. And I don't know, the ending is sort of nice, despite, the circumstances, where the sort of mask, the air mask that they're wearing falls off, and Jim says, "What are you smiling? Why are you smiling, you crazy freaking idiot?" He asked me good-naturedly. "You're supposed to keep that on." "Because," I remember telling him, "it was a fun night." And I don't know, there's something really cute and like wholesome about that.
Yeah, so this night goes wrong quick, but I love how it starts with "it was a fun night," which really does speak to, I guess, the like nature and the feeling of going to a party, and like just being open and welcome to anything that could possibly happen. And like, even though this person does seem to trend older, I get such a strong sense of youth from this story. Just, being out in the night, and just even when you're on a stretcher, you still want to party, and I don't know, it makes me feel like I am young, even though I am technically still young. But
you're funny.
Yeah, but yeah,
younger,
I younger, 2022. But I just really love the tone of this story and the vibe overall. And yeah, the story is like somewhat comedic, somewhat just sort of telling this story. So yeah, like overall, I just really love how this story is written, and it really just sort of breathes so much life in to myself when I read it. So really, really great. It's a cute story. It's a sad story also, but it's really good.
Yeah, there was something just entertaining about it. I also could just be like way off about the age thing. It's just a vibe I got. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if I was really off about that. And also just I don't know, that they pass out by the end.
Yeah, and I also got the exact same vibe. So we might both be off.
Okay. But regardless, I enjoyed it a lot, and sort of that. I like the little reflection at the end. The thing about having a terminal illness is that no one can really tell you that no one can really tell you to process ahead of time. The fact that everything you do could be the last time that you do it, that's sad. But also, it's like, hey, at least they had like a really good time at this big concert. If this is going to be the last concert you go to, it's not a bad way.
Go out with a bang, B. So yeah, really, really great story. And our final story for this week is by Morgan LeA with an untitled story.
We have our a main character sort of, I think, helping out this elderly woman, Miss Lorraine. And over the course of it, we sort of get this vibe that they have this sort of power. They see numbers over people's heads, a classic slasher slash writing prompts sort of thing.
RPG.
And I think we get the impression fairly quickly that it must be how many years that people have left. We have this moment of sadness when our main character looks at this old woman and sees 1 over her head. So our main character, Megan, then gets in her car with Eli, who I think is just like a very close friend. I think there's a little bit of romantic stuff going on there, but it's not, made super, super clear. But she gets pretty upset when she looks at her friend Eli and sees 0 years left. We see her use her power to gaze deeper at what's going on there and sees that he has 23 hours left, which is really concerning. And I don't think we really get a good feeling, a good grasp on like what that could have been. But in an attempt to to change that, because it wasn't always only 23 hours, she asks him to stay late today, and to come over. And so as a result, it does change. First changing to 7, and then 26 years left. And sort of just like, yeah, it sounds like that she saved his life one way or another.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that this is a really cool concept that is portrayed really well within the story. I do love how we get a couple of moments of seeing how this ability works before we get to the main crux of her friend having one day left. So we get to understand the severity of this power. I don't think we ever see anyone actually die, but we are under the assumption that this power is foolproof. And I do like the ending mostly of how they do say, "Hey, come over tonight, and we can hang out, and then whatever," sort of virtually saving their life for the time being. So yeah, I think definitely with the concept of this story, there are so many other stories that could possibly breed from this if you do choose to play with this in a different fashion. But overall, I think that this story is very wonderfully written, and it tells a very clear and concise tale throughout. So really great job.
Yeah. There's a reason that it's such a classic trope, just because you can do a lot with it, I think. So the one thing that I really did want to know more was just a hint of perhaps what the issue could be, what was going to cause his death. And not necessarily that there's nothing there. I feel like there's a little bit there. We can read into the fact that it's just inviting him over that solves it. But I wanted just like a little bit more just to rule out some of the other possibilities, because immediately I'm thinking, oh, is he just going to like... was there? Yeah, which is a lot more boring and uninteresting than he was thinking of like killing himself. Except now someone reaching out, solves that and solves it in a sense of like not even just over the course of one day, but a very long time, right?
Which I don't know. Was there ever a moment where he said what he was going to do that night? Just, I guess moments that would hint at that.
I don't think so. The only thing that I did get a vibe of is that he was a bad driver. So that was like a hint toward like, oh, maybe he crashes his car, right? But that doesn't seem like that's the case either. But I like the theory myself that it's the connection that saves him, not the fact that he's not wherever he was going to be.
Yeah. Which again, I think that like definitely in a second version, if you do choose to edit this piece, that would definitely be something that could aid in the emotional weight at the end. Because already I think that the symbolism of simply by the main character reaching out, they got a whole 17 more years is great. But, definitely allowing the reader to understand what could have happened can really add to the to the symbolism of that moment, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But all right, thank you so much to Morgan A for submitting your story. And I think it's high time to say thank you to everyone who left 2 or more comments. So thank you very much to Walker by Faith, Morgan A, and also thank you to JustStan8460 for leaving comments. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. It really, really is nice to see not just like a single comment, but also some back and forth and stuff. It's always really endearing and heartening.
Definitely. If you want to be like all of these wonderful writers and submit your story to Do the Right Thing, you can do that by going to Reddit /r/Do the Right Thing. All you have to do is sit down for 30 minutes and write a complete short story using 3 or 4 randomly generated words.
If you want to see the words as soon as they come out, the best place to do that would be to follow us on Twitter at RightThingCast. You can also send us an email at rightthingcast@gmail.com if you want to say hi, if you want to say sub. We actually just got an email, Jarvis, I don't know if you saw, from this like podcasting collective.
Ooh,
well, okay, so I have thoughts. So this is by the That's Not Canon podcasting community thing, and I'm sure they're wonderful. And if they are listening to this, hello. I'm glad that you reached out. I wish it was a little bit, I don't know. It was like personalized. It had our names. It had my dead name, nice. Which is one thing. It's like, okay, so you probably haven't listened to the episode. It says I'm not a robot, which is like cool. And perhaps it is like personalized, and it's like they do writing podcasts. I think that's basically what they did. Maybe they just searched writing podcasts and they found us. But like, I mean, y'all, we're part of Doof Media. Like,
yeah,
come on.
We're
it's
already
like
taken.
Yeah, we're already taken. And they're, yeah. Yeah, I wish I saw a little bit more of what they do. I think it's just like a cross-promotion thing. So, I mean, I think technically we could join or something, but I don't know. I'll think about it. Regardless, it's kind of nice. Interesting, at the end of every email and also on their site and stuff, they have... I acknowledge Australia's First Nations peoples as the original inhabitants of the lands, seas, and waterways of this country, and acknowledge their struggle of resilience. I pay my respects to all elders, past and present, and recognize the importance of continuing connections to family, culture, and country, which is cool.
Thanks. Yeah. That's an interesting thing to end with.
More like just, yeah, I wish there was just a little bit more context of like, because I went on their site and there wasn't like this is the reason why it's important to us kind of thing, you know?
Oh, okay, I see.
But fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I wonder if they know that we don't live in Australia.
We'll have to investigate. But regardless, I don't know. I just thought it was neat.
Yeah, but either way, you can too send us a email as personalized as this one.
And yeah, you can invite us to join your podcasting network, and then we'll be in a conflict of interest. We'll have to ask. We'll have to figure out how we're gonna figure out about the doofs. Yeah. How we're gonna break it to them.
Well, also speaking of doof, if you want to help us and everyone else in Doof Media, you can do that by donating to the Doof Media Patreon. All you have to do is donate $10 or more per month to get access to exclusive bonus content.
Yeah, I think there's another episode of The High Ground coming out soon.
Nice.
And though the other thing that I really want to promote, of course, although it is perhaps a little selfish, is the new podcast that is joining this week called The View from Halfway Down, a BoJack Horseman analysis podcast. With me and Sebastian, I'm so excited to have people listen to it. I think our intro and outro music is fantastic, by the way, so you can listen for that reason alone, and among other things. And I'm very happy with it. I'm very excited for discussion as we go forward. And if you haven't watched BoJack Horseman, go check out the first episode. It's a very funny show and a very deep show too. So, actually, while we're recording, I'm gonna have to work on this, but I laugh a lot, especially when I'm talking about other jokes and stuff. I have a hard time not laughing while I'm talking, and so a lot of that first episode was me like recounting a joke and then like laughing during half of it, and I can't even fucking talk about it. It's a little embarrassing, but you know. Anyway, go check it out, please. The View from Halfway Down.
So tell me, what else is happening in Doof Media?
Well, that's the main thing, the one that
Mm-hmm.
I just said. But of course, there's many other things going on at Doof Media. They just covered the Grand Budapest Hotel on the Doofcast, which is one of my
Great
favorite
movie.
movies. Yeah, yeah. And a lot of other things going on. So if you haven't checked it out, go. You can go and actually check out the Doof Media calendar on our site that has all of our shows and the schedules for them, and you can see what else is coming up.
Well, all right, I think it's high time to roll on into next week's words. This will be the last week for the paradigm shift theme. So please get out your stories where there's a major change, whether it's within the characters, within the worlds, yada, yada, yada. Tell me what the words are for next week.
Sure. They are aquarium, style, insight, and lean.
Okay, so aquarium, which is a tank filled with water where there are multiple aquatic aquatic creatures present. Are there any other definitions for aquarium?
Just I suppose there's a difference between like a aquarium that you have in your house, or an aquarium as in like a zoo, right?
Yeah,
like
true,
a water
yeah.
zoo.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the big differences between those. And just I suppose different contexts. You could write about being inside an aquarium. You could write about those aquariums they have at fancy restaurants,
Yeah,
or
different kinds.
yeah, plenty of options.
And what's the next word?
Style.
Style. Style can mean multiple things. Basically, it is your own personalized way of doing something. So this could be clothing style. This could be a writing style. This could be a style of life, a lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah, the way you do your own personal spin. Actually, I would have just said the fashion thing first. So I'm glad that you broadened it. If you want, you could write a stylus, the thing that you write with.
Yes, a stylus.
And yeah, the next word is insight.
Insight. It is a form of currency in the game Bloodborne. But basically, it is your own depth of knowledge within something else, if I'm describing it correctly. So, like, someone who is a accounting analyst would have insight to your own finances.
I think it's kind of like it's sort of the ability to reveal like a deeper knowledge on something. So, yeah, in Dungeons and Dragons, an insight check is sort of to figure out someone's motivations.
Yes. And the last word?
Lean.
Lean. Lean is when you take it's codeine mixed with Sprite typically.
Right.
But it's hard to find raw codeine, so typically people would do like NyQuil and stuff like that. Also, lean is when you shift the position of something, whether it is your body or a pencil, and you shift it in any direction. Granted that it is shifted on a southward axis.
Sure. Or just like in a way of just like making a sort of angle with your body.
Yes, creates an angle
of the thing. And the last one of the last meaning of that, I think lean would be like lean meat, something without much fat, quite like skinny, I suppose.
Yes.
But mostly like still like muscle, I think is the implication, not just like skin and bones.
Yeah, just a fatless muscle.
Sure. And that could mean not just in the body sense, but also like a
food sense.
A lean business, kind of doesn't have a lot of extraneous things holding on. But okay, really quickly, what is your story?
Yeah, so my story is going to follow a package of lean ground beef.
Okay.
And basically, through the process of creating this ground beef, it gained sentience and insight into the meat packaging industry. Basically, whenever a person picks up this package, it just starts talking, rambling on how the meat packaging industry kills thousands upon thousands of animals, yada yada yada. But this is also Texas, so his style of talking is a southern drawl. which is fine. Most people pick up this package and then put it right back down because, hey, why is this me talking to me? But someone does eventually purchase the pack of meat, but this person is deaf, so they can't hear it talking. And then they go home and they put the package of meat in their piranha aquarium.
Amazing. What a wonderful story. Thank you for keeping it so very short.
Yes.
So my story is going to be about a business exec who had a new insight on how to make a business leaner. And so they gave their pitch aquarium style, as in they gave it from within an aquarium. They were in a scuba sort of outfit and they were swimming around in front of all the other shareholders and sort of giving their pitch. But no one could understand them, but they were rich anyway. So even though they did get fired, they actually got richer in the process. The end. That's the story. Thank you coming for Do the Right Thing. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I got to go.
Sure.
Bye.
Do the right thing. Bye.
Do the right thing.